give you the information on that class as well. But in that class, what I do is I go into depth of each one of these 9 types. So it's like that one is a 6-week course. Normally I teach it 9 or 10 weeks. And but you'll get a much deeper understanding of the subconscious ways that each one of these 9 types work in that class. But generally speaking, type 1, they have a picture of a school teacher there, kind of disciplined, principled person. They're rational, idealistic types, generally principled, purposeful, self-controlled, and perfectionistic. So what they're trying to focus in on is being right or being good. That's the kind of preoccupation with the 1 type, which is the reformer. Number 2, which the 2 of you seem to have, is called the helper. And this is the typical maternal type, caring, interpersonal type, generous, I don't know if I can read it myself. Demonstrative, thank you. People-pleasing and possessive. Okay. You notice like there's a range of terms here. Some the top ones are a little more positive than the others. Further down, I'm going to show you that there's what's called levels of development for the type. So there's a range or a depth that you can move up and down within, depending upon how healthy we are as human beings, how much fear we have in our life or how much trust we have in our life. So the first ones that you hear are the more trusting, generous, giving types. And for instance, as they get more stressed out, the 2 starts to become like the later type things that we talk about. And that applies to all of these words. Yes?
I have a question. Are you saying each person is born one of those types? Or are you created into one of those types?
I'm of the belief that we're pretty much set up according to our environment. We have a couple of ways we can play within them, but generally speaking, if you have parents who insist that you become a certain way, you're going to become a certain way. So I think a lot of it has to do with the environment.
We have being born or...
Yeah, I don't really believe that we're born that way so much as we're kind of conditioned depending upon the circumstances that we have in our upbringing.
So that's to say that my parents and Judy's parents were probably similar in the manner in which they raised us, because we ended up in that same category?
Yeah, you could have had very similar value. And remember, this is cultural too. Women in our culture, generally speaking, tend to be helper types. It's just, maybe it's not the way it should be, but that's the way that it's kind of been culturally acceptable over many years. So it's very typical. As a matter of fact, there's male nurses, for instance. I don't think that's a majority. You probably find more women in the field, but generally speaking, it's just the way it happens. And women are generally, they're mothers, so they're good at that. Generally speaking. What does a guy know about a baby? He doesn't have them.
But a man could be a helper in a different sense.
Exactly.
Without not having a profession that was
Exactly. And if you look at the other page that I showed you of the male types, you'll see the guy with his arm around, a child, being very helpful to the child. And, a guide, a loving guide, for instance, might be more a male helper type, encouraging and, flattering and that type. So number 3 is the achiever, success-oriented. This is generally the type A personality. Pragmatic, the overachiever type. Pragmatic type, adaptable, excelling, driven, and image conscious. For the male for this type, they have a guy with a suitcase with a mask on his face walking down. It's kind of like the politician.
Or the corporate guy.
Right, the corporate image. So we tend to be a 3-type culture, by the way, 2 and 3 type culture for women and males, women and men. you know, this is a kind of climb the corporate ladder type person. Can be. Number 4 is the individualist, sensitive, withdrawn.
Expressive,
Okay.
dramatic, self-absorbed, and temperamental.
Yes. Okay, so that you can tell it's kind of the romantic, you know, the person who, you know, kind of poetical type of person.
And an artist? Would it be an artist?
Yes, an artist, a melancholic type. You know, they tend to be melancholic. Emotion. Don Riso and Russ Hudson called them the deep sea divers of the psyche. You know, they kind of like to dip in the psychic juices of their emotions. Kind of the fondue, the psychic fondue. That's what it is.
That's great.
Number 5 is the investigator. And if you could read those, Judy.
Yeah, the intense cerebral, is it?
Oh.
Type. I mean, it's a little blurred for me too.
I can read it.
Perceptive, yeah.
Yeah, intense, creative type, perceptive, innovative, secretive, and isolated. So this is a thinking type person. The person who gets, you know, maybe a scientist or the investigator or someone who just wants to come up with answers. You know, shall answer.
So would that type of person be perceptive?
Yeah, they can be very perceptive,
Really?
depending. You know, I would say that when you say perceptive, what do you mean by that?
I'm thinking more.
Emotionally perceptive?
Yeah.
Okay, no.
Yeah, and
no,
it wouldn't be
no.
that.
No, it's not an emotional perception. It's an intellectual perception.
Okay.
Yeah.
So an engineer might fit into like that.
Oh yes, definitely. Head, all head,
Yeah.
all of it. Where the 4 is the kind of the emotional, you know, the psychic fondue type.
Mm-hmm.
This is more like the clickety click type, all up here, not in here, but up here instead. So they're as intense up here as the 4 is in the heart area.
So these two wouldn't get along too well. Or is it
Well, you know, the nice thing about this is, again, we can learn balance from each other. If you apply the Enneagram, the missing piece needs to be integrated in order to become well-rounded. So the 5 can learn a lot from the 4, and the 4 can learn a lot from the 5. You know, the 5 can